So a few days ago, we talked to someone from an STM, like a public transit lobby group, very concerned about the fact that the new STM budget's going to have us underwater by about $78 million. But, over and above the money, because it's hard to kind of understand how that's going to change things. We know fewer people are riding because it's post-COVID. A lot of people don't want to be on buses. At least that's what we thought. You're going to hear an opinion now suggesting that's not necessarily the case. But the idea was we already heard from the STM about service being reduced, that whole a bus in 10 or 15 minutes.
Forget
right?
it. I mean, all we've been hearing is bad news lately. More and more bad news.
And then I came across an article suggesting that, here's what we have not heard necessarily. And this news is probably, I don't want to say it's even worse, but it's something worth considering from the people who should know, the bus drivers and metro operators who we have not heard from. So it's great to hear from a lobby group and great to hear from the government. But PINO TAGLIAFERRI is president of the Quebec, or the union representing bus drivers and metro operators at CUPE here in Quebec. And he's on the line right now. Mr. Tagliaferri, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me on the air. Thank you.
Yeah, listen, let's talk about this from the perspective of bus drivers. Now, the first thing I read, and it doesn't necessarily, sort of apply to the overall picture, but the idea of the change boxes, how long has this been a problem and what's going on according to you?
Well, we're having a problem right now with where the customers on board. We don't have the full capacity we used to have. But even though we're not getting financed at the proper level, so what the STM is doing right now is instead of knocking on doors, we'll say it this way, to go get some financial money for the transport system, the urban system. Well, what they're doing is they're cutting on service. So they're having customers wait longer at the bus stops to pick up a bus and get to work. And a lot of the customers that do take buses, it's not necessarily because they can't afford a car or other reasons. It's because it's their way of getting around the city, either going to work or could it be to hospitals for appointments that they may have.
Okay, I want to stop you though. I said change boxes. I meant card readers. So, and my question there is, do you have now, because of the maintenance not being done, are there a lot of people riding for free?
I'd say, let me put it this way. I'd got to give an average of about maybe 25 to 30% of the buses that are on the road are not giving, not getting the payment done.
Okay, Pino, so let me get this picture straight. So people who want to use the service and rely on the service can't use it at the same frequency and can't depend on it the way that they were. And then when they are riding it and there's a budget issue, a shortfall, a huge shortfall, they're getting to ride it for free because the readers aren't working. Am I painting the picture right, Pino?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what can be done about this?
Well, it's very simple. The problem with the administration of the STM now is that the machines have to be repaired for different reasons, and instead of putting the time and energy to repair the machines to go get the money that people should be paying when they get on board for the service, well, they're lacking that, and they're just putting out buses every day instead of repairing them. Well, they just put them on the road and have customers get on board, and if it works, they pay. If it doesn't work, they don't pay, and that doesn't seem to be an issue. But the other way, when you look at it, they're financially $80 million in a hole, and you're seeing maybe so many thousands of dollars every hour, every day that goes by for certain buses that people can't pay. Well, it doesn't make sense.
So, what was this we heard? We know during the pandemic, obviously, people didn't want to get on the bus. Same thing applied, I guess, for all public transit, metro included. Your story seems to suggest that not only are people back, but buses are crowded again now. So what's the real story here?
Well, with the pandemic, obviously we had customers that weren't getting on board because they were too close to people and so on and so forth. And I understand that. But, I mean, the pandemic, the COVID is still there, but let's face it, it's a little bit or quite a bit behind us now. So customers were starting to get back on board, but not enough or not at the same rate the STM would like to. So what they're doing is, while they're cutting services, they're taking out the 10 minutes like you've seen, which started the 9th of January. So now what they're doing is having a bus missing on the line while you're getting other buses that are going to be crowded. So you're going to have extra people in the buses because you don't want to have that bus with maybe, let's say, 20, 25 people on board. So you'd rather have a bus or the next bus passing by with 50 people on board.
Okay.
Wow.
And then, Pino, I'm thinking about back at the height of the pandemic that the bus drivers were having to deal with people not wearing masks, and they were sort of turned into, security guards, if you will, having to police their own buses to make sure people were masking up. Now that's gone, but I imagine tensions are still high, and especially if people are waiting longer than they're used to waiting for their bus to come. What kind of stress are the drivers under right now?
Well, Natasha, you're absolutely right. The stress is enormous, and it's there every single day, and it's not easy to work with, and it's not something that we get up in the morning and go to work with before the day even starts. Have the stress, but the STM is not helping us at all in the situation. Neither is the city or Valérie Plante, which was the president of the STM, taking a bus off the line and giving that customer extra time to wait at maybe minus 20, minus 25. We haven't peaked at minus 30 yet, but I mean, we're not through the month of January, not through the month of February. So when it gets to these cold temperatures and people have to wait at a corner street to pick up a bus that maybe passes by every 15 to 17 or possibly 12 minutes, it's very cold, and they're upset. They're upset because when they get on the bus, they may be late. And the frustration is thrown at the bus driver. Why? Because he's the first
Sure.
person that you see that represents la Société de Transport. So you can't go directly to, let's say, Marie-Claude Léonard or the DJ or you pick up the Mr. Caldwell. So the first person you throw your aggressivity to happens to be the bus driver. And he's not there for that. That's not something anybody should tolerate when you start your day of work or during your working hours.
Are you losing drivers because of it, because the situation has become so disagreeable?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I've never seen, I've been at the STM since 2003, and then if I go back the last 12 months, I haven't seen so many people jump ship and go do other jobs because of the stress that they're getting every single day. It's unbearable. And it scares me. I brought this situation up to the STM, but I'll be honest with you, they don't seem to be concerned.
All right. Well, let me ask you then. So you're highlighting obviously some problems here, and I think riders are listening to this thinking, yeah, I agree. We don't want to take your frustration out on a bus driver. It's not his or her fault. Where's the solution? What is the solution here? Because here's an organization losing, as you said, about $80 million in their next budget. It's not like they can even go out and afford to hire more drivers. It's kind of like a catch-22 here. So where's the solution here?
Well, the solution is very simple. Aaron, I think the first thing they should do, and the first step for the government to do, is they have to put buses out there for the people that don't have the possibility to have a vehicle or to get around town either other way, but they have to take the bus. So if you give service, and the service is well given, well, then you're going to have people that are going to hop on board and get to where they want to get to. Now, if you're going to give me a traveling time from point A to point B, if it's, let's say, 35 minutes to get and do my destination, and the STM is giving me only 30 minutes to do it now, I'm short 5 minutes, plus you're taking a bus in front of me, which is supposed to be there every 10 minutes and is not, well, you're not giving me enough time to get the destination. And customers get aggravated because it's not only double the time it takes if they would take the car. I'd say they're up to 3 times the time it takes. So the money is not there, but the government, if they're going to talk about the future and the planet and for our kids and the generations to come, and you want to take the cars out of circulation, well, you're going to have to invest adequately. And right now, the transport system is not financed at the proper level. So
you've made the point that we don't have enough drivers. We clearly don't have enough buses. Is this a matter? It seems to me years ago, Pino, we had an issue where buses, the maintenance workers, I guess at the time, were the ones complaining or deciding not to, to do their job. There were fewer buses being repaired, therefore fewer buses on the road. What's the issue now with that?
Well, it's always a question of labor. I mean, if you're not going to hire, well, you can ask someone to do their job and someone else's job or half of someone else's job, because come to the end of the week, well, you're burnt, you're tired, and you can't produce at that time. So if you're not going to hire, well, you're going to ask someone to put in extra hours, and that's going to cost you more money, but you're not getting what you deserve. And who's going to be paying for this? Obviously, it's the person behind the wheel and the customers that get on board that have to take a extra time to get on board to get to where they want to go to.
Do we need a new person to head the STM?
Well, that's a question I'd ask Mr. Caldwell, because I mean he's the one that put the person there. But I think that the people that are there should be people that recognize and know a little bit what the transport system is. And if you're gonna drive a society like that, like the STM, well, you got to know the basics of what it takes to get the system going right. And right now, the system's not running right.
Okay,
pretty straightforward.
It's a political answer, I think there. Pino, I want to thank you for taking the time today. I was going to ask you that terrible question, because we talked about this on the show before, this idea that gets floated every now and then about, what, we should do like some other cities and allow people to ride for free. And I know the idea has been discussed, but today's not the time to discuss it. We can do that another time. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day.
All
Thanks,
right.
Pino.
So that is PINO TAGLIAFERRI. He is president of the union representing bus drivers and metro operators.
By the way, if you're wondering why the bus you're riding on is so filthy dirty and you can't see out the windows, that's also part of this issue.
Yep.
Labor cutbacks.
I don't know how you fix that. You don't have the money to hire people. You don't have the money to put more buses on the road. So where does it get better?